once thought to be a mainstream LDS family raising 5 children. Now, Tammy Daybell is dead, and her body has been exhumed. Her husband married Lori Vallow 2 weeks after Tammy passed away. The Daybells have 5 children, and by all accounts and pictures, they look like a normal, happy Mormon family. Chad Daybell is an author. Tammy's body has been exhumed, and Chad and Julie had visions of Tammy's death. Listen.
Chad and Julie would often talk about a vision they both had years ago that Tammy was going to die.
If you followed the story from the beginning, it is still as crazy and twisted. Welcome to Missing Murder Vanished Part 5, The Death of Tammy Daybell. I'm Catherine. Welcome to another episode of Left Undone, Incomplete Investigations. If you've been following, you know October 18th, 2019, Tammy Daybell went to bed coughing. By morning, on the 19th, she was found dead. Shortly before Tammy's death, she made this post on Facebook to her neighborhood. So Tammy's post says, "Okay, neighbors, something really weird happened, and I want you to know so you can watch out. I'd gotten home and parked out in front of our front driveway. As I was getting stuff out of the back seat, a guy wearing a ski mask was suddenly standing by the back of my car with a paintball gun. He shot at me several times, although I don't think it was loaded. I yelled at Chad, and he ran off around the back of my house. I have no idea what his motive was, and he never spoke, even after I asked him several times what he thought he was doing. I was about to smack him with my freezer meals from enrichment tonight when I decided to yell for Chad instead." Chad Daybell's wife of 30 years, Tammy Daybell, died of natural causes at 49 years old. This story is still insane. 2 weeks before her death, Tammy was visiting her parents. Her father, Ron Douglas, was noted to say that she was in good health and good spirits and even dancing in their living room while she was visiting them. On October 19th, he received a call from her husband, Chad, that she went to bed coughing and died in her sleep. Chad was sobbing and crying. December 11th, 2019, Tammy Daybell's body was exhumed, now thought to be suspicious. She had laid to rest in Springville, Utah on October 22nd, 2019. Suspicious is the least of the words right now. Within a couple of weeks after Tammy's death, Chad Daybell married Lori Vallow. Chad is an author of religious books that are what I refer to as a spin-off the Mormon religion. He belongs to a group that is considered a cult, and Chad is being sought by police now because Lori's children are missing. He has been excommunicated from the mainstream LDS church. Here's a BBC clip on Doomsday. This I find interesting because they are. Now, the group that Chad and Lori are affiliated with is called Preparing a People. And then there is Julie Rowe. She claims to have visions of Tammy dying. And she claims that Chad had the same visions.
For the first time, we are hearing from someone who shared the same religious beliefs as Chad Daybell, who published 3 of her books.
Aaron Cox joins us with the interview you'll only see right here on Fox 13. Aaron.
Julie Rowe believes in energy and talking with angels. She says both she and Chad had visions where angels told them Tammy would die.
He would never hurt a child. He's raised 5 beautiful, amazing kids that I love like my own. And he would never hurt Tammy.
Julie Rowe first met Chad Daybell in 2014. She says God brought them together to publish her book about a near-death experience she had back in 2004.
I've been in their home in Springville, Utah several times, and in their house in Idaho dozens of times. He always had his arm around her or was holding her hand, and often would have his hand on her leg.
There was a 3-year period of time where Julie would visit Tammy and Chad in Rexburg once a month. She says Chad was a great support to her when she was excommunicated from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints earlier this year.
I literally feel like I owe him my life.
Chad and Julie would often talk about a vision they both had years ago that Tammy was going to die. But then after her excommunication, Julie says they distanced themselves from each other. 3 weeks before Tammy's death, Chad and Julie called each other.
And I did ask him, Chad, do you still see Tammy dying? And he said, yes, I do.
Tammy was in charge of the finances and covers for Chad's books. Julie says Chad wanted to get out of the business, but Tammy wanted to keep going.
He basically said to me, I'm ready to get out now, and Tammy doesn't want to yet. And he's like, once she passes, like I'm done. I can't keep doing this.
Now Julie hasn't heard from Chad or any of his children. She's not reached out to Chad himself, and his daughter has not responded to her texts. Julie says she relies on her visions for comfort.
I do know the kids are safe. I can see them. I can see their energy. I can see that they're in a bright house. I can see the living room where they are. I can see they're in a nice, comfortable bed at night. I can tell you this, he did not hurt those kids. Those kids are alive.
Can we just kind of go back to October, just kind of start at the beginning when you guys responded to a death?
October 19th, we did respond to an unattended death at the Daybell home in southern part of Fremont County, Salem Highway. And Tammy Daybell was deceased at that time. My officers, deputies responded, and as we do with most unattended deaths, they took pictures, they looked it over, contacted our detectives. Detectives had a few questions, they satisfied those. Got the information they needed, didn't see anything that alarmed them, contacted the coroner. Coroner responded, and body was transported to the funeral home. The coroner went there also to do a further examination, and she determined that there was nothing out of ordinary, natural causes. A few days later, we started getting information out of Arizona that we maybe ought to take a closer look at this. As a result of that, we got a court order in December and had Tammy's body exhumed, and an autopsy was performed by the medical examiner in Utah.
And what's the status of that today, the autopsy?
We're still waiting for the lab results to come back. We were told that it would be at least 4 weeks, and I think we're in the 3rd week now. And at least 4 weeks, so it could be longer.
Was Chad Daybell acting interesting or suspicious or normal when you all responded to the house when Tammy passed?
To my knowledge, he was responding like anybody would whose spouse had just passed away. That's why the deputies didn't suspect anything suspicious.
Let's fast forward to just a few days ago at the house, just on Friday. What were you guys doing out there?
We obtained a search warrant to search the house. Specifically, we looked for and we did retrieve computers, cell phones, personal electronic devices, medications, documents, journals, things like that. And we took a total of 43 items from the home on Friday.
Was there anything like hair or body fluids, anything more personal, I guess, that you could say that was taken from the home?
There were samples of various things taken that will be sent off to labs for further analysis.
And what was the purpose of the search?
We're trying to clarify things, figure out what it was that possibly might have happened there.
At this point, would you be comfortable saying that Tammy Daybell's death was not natural?
It's suspicious.
It's suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as if she was killed or poisoned or anything at this point, you obviously don't know.
We're waiting for the lab results.
So how does all of this tie in with the missing children?
So Chad married their mother very shortly after Tammy died.
Their mother being Lori.
Lori, yes.
When's the last time you guys spoke with Chad and or Lori?
I'm not sure exactly when that was, and I believe that was probably Rexburg Police that did speak with them. I don't think we've ever spoken to them directly. And that was when Rexburg was looking for the kids, and Lori told them that the kids were, or that the son, the 7-year-old, was in Arizona with family. I think family or friends.
Yeah.
Which wasn't true.
So, have you been able to interview Chad about the death of his wife?
No.
On his accord, he doesn't want to talk.
Right.
Okay. But you obviously would like to talk to him about that.
We have been contacted by his attorney, and that was a couple of weeks ago. And his attorney was letting us know that any communications would be through him, and that there wasn't any at the time.
No communication at the time. And has that changed?
That has not changed.
Okay. Any idea where Chad and Lori are?
We're pretty sure they're not in Idaho.
And any idea what happened with the 2 children? That's what everybody wants to know.
It is what everyone wants to know, and certainly we're all concerned for their safety. And if, they would let us know where they're at, let somebody know where they're at, I don't think it'd be very difficult to prove their safety if they're okay. We would like to know that they're safe.
Do you know if Tammy Daybell had a big life insurance policy?
There is some information along those lines that I'm not at liberty to speak about right now.
But that is being investigated.
Yes, it is.
Let's talk a little bit about, too, the Facebook post that she put up, I think it was 10 days before her death, on the community page about how she had pulled into the driveway and there was a masked man there with a paintball gun. Mm-hmm. You guys, the home, had you guys been called out there for any other things? Was this a well-known home, or?
No, I'm not aware of any other calls to that house, at least not from our agency.
There's so many agencies involved with this case, and it's gotten national attention, and mm-hmm. It has people a lot of rumors and speculation. I mean, is this one of those cases that is there maybe frustration, or not frustration, some sort of angst on law enforcement's end that if these parents would just talk, it could hopefully clear up a lot of stuff?
Well, certainly it's frustrating that they are unwilling to speak with us. There is a lot of concern for the safety of the kids, and the information that is coming out of Arizona, reference to deaths of multiple people, is concerning, and we're trying to find as much evidence as we can to put the entire puzzle together in one solid piece.
Do you know much about their religious affiliation, their religious beliefs that may have played into how they're acting?
I had never heard of this group prior to this whole incident coming up. I know that there are groups like this in the world that exist with varying views of what's going to happen at the end of the world, or whatever you want to call it. But I was unaware of their existence. I didn't know the family personally. They lived in our community, but it is surprising how many people I do know who knew them well and are quite surprised by this whole proceeding and the response that we're getting back from Chad.
The fact that he's not really responding.
Right.
Yeah. So where does it go from here?
We still are working on evidence and finishing our investigation. You know, we have processed a number of search warrants. We are seeking additional subpoenas. There will be more.
Do you believe the children are okay, are alive?
I don't know what their status would be, and it would be totally speculation on my part. I certainly hope that they are fine.
Yeah. Is there anything that, if Chad and Lori happen to be watching this, anything you'd say to them?
Please give us a call. Please give us a call. They could clear up a lot of things real quickly for us if they would.
Yeah.
Which I think would help them too.
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Nate Eaton outside the Fremont County Sheriff's Office, where I have just wrapped up an interview with Sheriff Len Humphreys. He tells me that the search warrant that was served at the Daybell home in Salem on Friday resulted in the seizure of 43 items. Law enforcement took 43 items from the home, including journals, electronic devices, computers, other information, and other items that they believe will assist in the case of not only the two missing children, but the suspicious death of Tammy Daybell. Now, I asked Sheriff Humphreys if there was other sort of items that were collected, such as hair or bodily fluids or any type of forensic evidence. He did confirm that yes, some of those things were taken and are being analyzed right now in a lab. The purpose of the warrant, he says, was to figure out what happened in that house concerning the death of Tammy Daybell. Now, we do know that the autopsy has been concluded on Tammy's body, and the results should be forthcoming within the next 2 or 3 weeks. Could be longer, could be shorter, but the fluids and other items that were tested on her body are currently being analyzed in a lab, and the sheriff's office should have those back hopefully within the next few weeks, and then next steps will be taken, whether that's criminal charges against somebody or whether it clears everybody involved in the case. And Tammy did die of natural causes. That's a possibility as well.
I found some social media public posts from Tammy's children, Tammy and Chad's children, and I'm going to show you a couple of them. The first one is from their son, Mark. He says, on November 8th, he said, some have been amazed at the peace I've been able to feel since the passing of my mother. But I believe it all boils down to an understanding of 3 questions. Where did I come from before this life? What is my purpose in this life? And what do I need to return to live with God again? Where am I going after this life? And how exactly will it all work out? An applicable question would even be, will I ever have a chance to be with my loved ones again? Because I've come to know the answers, fear has no place in the equation. God's ways are not the same as ours, and yet they bless us the most. Everyone can experience the same peace and direction, and I know this because I have felt it in the most personal way possible. You can start finding your way at comeuntochrist.org. And a post by Garth Douglas Daybell on November 18th. A month ago today, October 18th, was my mom's last day alive, but neither of us knew it yet. This giant potato drove up to the school I work at, and I knew she would be jealous, so I took a bunch of pictures in front of it. I eagerly waited for her at home to show off, and it was worth it. She was so jealous, haha. She wanted to see it so bad. We made plans to go see the potato the next day, but it wound up not happening. Thank you everyone who has shown me and my family your support this past month. It has truly been an awful month, but there is still good in the world. Thank you, at Rexburg, Idaho. And then there's Seth, who has taken down most of his social media, but he does have his website up still, his communications portfolio, and that is still on there. It's SethDaybell.com. This is his wife, Seth and Michaela Daybell, and they were married on August 25th, 2018. And then Benjamin Douglas, I believe this is Tammy's brother. Haven't heard a lot from him, so we will see in the future what he might have to say. And then Leah Daybell Murphy is one of her daughters, who this has a little baby, so Tammy's obviously a grandmother, so now her grandchild will grow up without her. And I just think these ducks that Tammy raises are amazing. She just seems like a genuine, kind, nice person. To get wrapped up in this is just so heartbreaking to me. There's a wedding picture of when one of the kids got married. It looks like maybe it was Seth's wedding. And family pictures, Tammy and Chad, normal, happy LDS family. Never know what was going to come about. Never would have guessed. And we talked about Julie Rowe earlier, and we will definitely get back to her because she plays a huge part in this whole preparing a people, cult, visions, speaking to angels. The Post Register did post this. Julie Rowe, a self-described visionary and energy worker who says she has long been friends with Chad Daybell, uploaded a video on her website defending him and claiming his innocence in the children's disappearance and the death of his previous wife. She said Daybell repeatedly told her he had a vision of Tammy Daybell's death. Rowe claimed to have had the same vision. My angels tell me that Chad Daybell is being falsely accused of the suspicious death of his wife, she said in the video.